Sean, you're one of the few people who sat down with President Zelensky on the eve of this invasion. Are you at all surprised how he has led this country thus far? I mean, this guy, he's 44 years old. He went to law school. He was an actor and a comedian who played a president on television. He has rallied this nation in an extraordinary way. Did it surprise you at all?
You know, I when I talk about President Zelensky, I think it should be said that I'm talking about most of what I observed in Ukrainian people. You know, we have these inspirational figures in our micro lives. You know, I have extraordinary children that inspire me, an extraordinary estranged wife who inspires me daily. And then there's the macro inspiration of these great figures of history. Meeting with President Zelensky the day before the invasion, and then meeting with him again on the day of the invasion. I don't know if he knew that he was born for this, but it was clear I was in the presence of something, and again, I think reflected of so many Ukrainians, that was new to the modern world in terms of courage and dignity and love that comes out of the man, and the way he has unified that country. And I think Mr. Putin certainly added to paving the way to that. But this is such an extraordinary moment, and I was endlessly impressed and moved by him and terrified for him and for Ukraine.
I have never been in a country at war in which the people are so united, so determined, and again, I mean, that word has become a cliche here, the determination, but the resolve here, elderly women, elderly men, children, everybody, the resolve to not only fight now, but fight for however long and whatever happens.
Yeah, there's no question in my mind that this is not going to end soon no matter what, because you will have a country of extraordinary insurgencies if Putin is successful in this. There's no sign that Mr. Putin is looking for an off-ramp. And one of the greatest feeling that I have, you know, I'm not a war correspondent, but I have traveled in conflict zones and done some reporting. And I remember being in Tripoli and Benghazi during the NATO attacks and the freedom fighters fighting, as well as against the Gaddafi forces. And it was sketchy, but this was ominous. It was ominous because it was so heartbreaking in the ripple effects it's going to have around the world, where this incredible symbol of democracy, of belief in free dreaming, is being assaulted. And they're fighting for their lives, and they're going to continue to fight for their lives. And I start to feel that we as Americans are plummeting off a cliff, atop which is our flag that represents all of our dreams and the best of our history. And that we're plummeting where it's going to go out of sight. I don't know the answers. I don't know if no-fly zones will create a nuclear war. I do know that we have to invest everything that we have to support the Ukrainian people and to support President Zelensky, or I do not think we will have a legitimate memory of what America hoped to be.
You're echoing something that a lot of Ukrainians are saying now, which is that this is much bigger than Ukraine, that this is, I mean, that it doesn't stop in Ukraine for Vladimir Putin. And I'm not trying to sound, you know, bellicose or trying to drum up the drums of war, but that is what, I mean, a message many Ukrainians say is, if you think this is just about Ukraine for Vladimir Putin, you're wrong.
You know, one of the things that really took me to Ukraine was a documentary made years ago called Winter on Fire, which Ted Sarandos and Netflix have made globally free on YouTube as of today. And though it took place 2014 during the Maidan, it is as what one witnesses in Ukraine today in terms of the people and the courage. And it's something I think every American should see Winter on Fire. It brings you exactly what we just saw, absent this incredible level of artillery and military might that's being exercised against them.
The other thing that struck me is that the people here know the cavalry is not coming. That there is not. I mean, yes, weapons are coming, and they're grateful for that, and more weapons continue to come. And Sweden is sending weapons. Germany has reversed their policy. They are sending weapons. Switzerland has reversed their neutrality and is pursuing sanctions on some form. And they're obviously they want a no-fly zone, but they know that this is a fight that in the end they have to win or lose themselves.
Well, I think that they have noticed that the cavalry is not coming. Even this incredible refugee crisis is full of people who, but for their children, would not be leaving. And I think about there are great Russian people who don't want this war, who don't believe in it. And getting information that supports them, because obviously they're under great threat to speak out and to protest, yet some are doing it. And there's such a closeness between Ukrainian people and Russian people that this thing only makes sense as an exploitation of the powerful.
When you left, you walked across. You ended up having to walk across the border like a lot of people. I mean, I assume, were you stuck in that long line of cars and decided to just, this is the way we got to go?
Yeah, we had the luxury of being able to abandon a rented vehicle on the side of the road. So many of them, almost all, this was a startling thing to me. It was mostly women and children, some in groups, and some just a mother and their child. Almost all of those cars. In some cases, the father was dropping them off and returning, because we know that from 18 to 60 men are not to leave; they're to stay in the resistance against Russia. There was I didn't see any luggage. It's as though they wanted to believe they're going to be able to come back, and there was an immediacy to leave because of the incredible amount of people leaving and how long it takes to get out of the country now. So the car is pretty much, aside from those who have family or friends that can help on the other side, all they have. So in the several miles that we walked after abandoning our car, which I didn't see one of those cars move a car length because that line was so slow. And then you get there and you see all those who have walked as well, and that crowd. And yeah, it was. I was glad, not so much in the moment, but I was glad to have had the experience of having to see what it was to get through that border, to get through it in a car. What it is to just sit there for sometimes days.
More than 1 million people so far, the largest movement of people in Europe since World War II. But before we go, not everybody has the privilege of being here and seeing, shaking hands with the people here and having them say to you, "Glory to Ukraine," and "Glory to the heroes." What do you want people to know? If you could transport someone in their living room right now to here, what do you want them to know about what's happening here?
In this short time, I think Winter on Fire will speak so much better to that. If people watch the news and they read the news and they've seen Winter on Fire, to give them a kind of, personal reference to the faces and the sacrifice that people make in the name of freedom, that'll do better than I can say. I would be remiss if I didn't mention also that we now have our core, our organization is doing relief work with the refugees Initially on the Polish side, we hope to be able to move into Ukraine to help those that are amassing, between Lviv and the border now.
Well, let me ask you about that, because I didn't realize, I understood that, I'd read accounts that you had been here to shoot a documentary on Ukraine, but CORE, which is the organization you started, was renamed after the earthquake in Haiti, but you have really focused on Haiti. You've also been doing a lot of work on COVID and vaccinations and COVID in the United States. So CORE is working on the border in Poland, and you hope to be working in Ukraine?
Absolutely, we're distributing hygiene kits. We're giving cash assistance, water to refugees as they come through. We're working now to bring our staff into the other side as well, because you really have two kinds of struggles of the refugees: one trying to get out of the country, and the other figuring out what to do in a country, because a lot of these people who were, plenty of them well-to-do, left their jobs and bank accounts behind, and so this is their new reality. So yeah, we need assistance with CORE, and we've never been very good at getting on the media front, which is ironic given I'm supposed to help do that. When it comes to the cash assistance that CORE needs to help people, but I definitely want to ask people to help us out, and I'm really proud of what our people are doing there.